So the purpose of this video is to get you ready for the test coming up. We have a classification test. It's going to come in two parts, multiple choice and short answer. Do be sure to complete both. As you prepare for the test, these two practice multiple choice quizzes are extremely helpful. You can take each one like 10 times, and so just keep taking it till you get it. There are repeat questions on this test, so I strongly recommend you take time to do that. We are going to go over the review today, and before we do so, be sure to download this Kingdom Key. We are going to be using it on the test so that you can complete it more accurately. So if you please pull up the test review like you see on Schoology here. Here is the answer key. And no, I don't post answer keys because I know you have access to everything as you take the test. But I am going to go through a few things that are important. When you see things dotted green, that's going to be a multiple choice question. Where you see points, that's where the short answer is going to come in. So things you're definitely going to need to know are here. Make sure you remember the 6 kingdoms in order, the kingdoms. And then also remember all of the taxonomic levels. So domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. And it's helpful to have a mnemonic to help you remember those in order. Make sure you understand them in order. So real quickly, let's go down to here. So here's the least specific. So this encompasses a lot of like millions of species for each domain. And then more specific is kingdom, more specific is phylum. When we get to class, what's going on here is there's a lot of related orders. You see how the order is below that. So this class shows that all of these orders are related. And then when you get down to order, it shows that a lot of the families are related. Once you get to family, it shows all the genuses are related. And then the genus shows the species that are related. When you get to species, you've gotten down to one specific organism. So you cannot repeat a scientific name from one species to another because each one has their own. And remember, the naming of species is always genus first, capitalized, and species second, not capitalized. And together, they make our binomial nomenclature. And be sure to italicize or underline the scientific name of each species. Okay, so going back up here, just be sure that you understand which ways that species can be classified. Remember that phylogeny is currently the most prevalent used in scientific culture? That's not the right word. Scientific practice. Morphology was the classical, because morphology was the one where it looked at like the physical form of an organism, whereas phylogeny looks at the ancestors of organisms. When you get to number 16, I am going to ask you to do a dichotomous key. So remember that poster with all the animals. That's what we're going to do. Here's the food. Always start with whatever the general topic is. So in this case, food. That's the one large group, and then separate it out into 2 groups, separate into 2, and so on and so forth. You should end up with 6 groups because there are 6 things listed. And yes, there will be a question like this on the short answer portion of the test, so be ready to do that. And by the way, there's probably for the test question 15 ways to do it right. So just be sure that you're doing separations into 2 groups each time, and make sure that the things that you separate it with are visible. Okay, we already talked about this. This is where you're going to need that dichotomous key. So you're going to want this handy when you take the test, like download it to Notability and have it handy. When you are doing these kinds of questions, remember that when we classify, what we're trying to get down to is which kingdom are we in? And so we start with, can I see it or not under a microscope? Well, a frog, I can see that under a microscope. So that's why I'm going to write, I can see it, so it's multicellular. Then, now that I'm over here on multicellular, I look, okay, does it make its own food, or does it eat or ingest food? Well, a frog has an opening, has a mouth, so we know that it is green, but it's not green in the way that we're referring to. So when you have an autotroph, Remember, those are the ones that can do photosynthesis. So we're going to say on this frog, it's not green, so it's a heterotroph. And it's not green because it can't do photosynthesis, is what we're referring to, not technically color. I don't love that, but you could just say it does not do photosynthesis, so it's a heterotroph. Once we get to heterotroph, does it ingest food with a mouth, or does it absorb food just around it? Well, a frog, obviously, it has an opening, has a mouth, so it uses ingestion. So then I therefore know that it is kingdom Animalia. Okay, so when I get this question on the test, I'm going to give this one to you. What I'm going to look for is the proof and the answer. So here's what I see. Here's its classification as a result of that. Here's what I see. Here's its reclassification, and so on and so forth. When you get a question like this one, it's going to be asking which one is the most related. And so the way you're going to look at that is just look at the DNA. Because there's a lot of stuff we can do to compare species, but DNA is a pretty good marker. So species 1 and 3 are the most closely related. And I know that because the DNA most closely matches. So it's a little surprising. We don't know what this organism is. We aren't told, but its food is small animals. This one, its food is grass, and so on and so forth. But what we care about is the DNA. AAA, CGG, TAC. AAA, CGG, TAA. See how there's just one difference there. So that's why, let's see, in scientific name, Staphylococcus is the genus. Aureus is the species. So it's the genus species. Notice how its first name, the genus, is capitalized, and the species is not capitalized. And it is italicized. What do they have in common? This is Staphylococcus epidermi. These are two different bacteria, by the way. What they have in common is their genus. So they're not the same species, but they are related. Using your kingdom key, that's this right here. Answer which of the following best described. So you'll just go through here and just be ready to use this. That's really what that question is all about. So with that, you should be prepared for the test. And again, be sure that you do both parts of the test, classification test part 1, multiple choice, and the short answer.